Hey everyone, today's Tuesday, January the 20th.
I'm Bruce Turner in the Hill City, Lynchburg, Virginia.
I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey everyone, I'm Duke Carrico. Hey, is your Nexus 6 coming apart? Several are reporting it. New phone rumors are found as we get closer to Mobile World Congress. Hey, and what is the future of Mobile Ara and Google Glass? Hey, I'll be asking the panel these questions, this, our apps, and more. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday.
Hello, hello. And how come you don't say, I'm Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee?
Oh, dang, you far, brother. I'll just tell you what's the truth. I was going up there at Farmer Jones, and I was going a little bit too fast. I went around Dead Man's Curve there, run right through Farmer Jones' hen house. My goodness gracious, I killed 3 chickens. It was awful.
You need a piece of hay.
Down there at the hardware store, sweeping up nails. I'll go have to pay him back.
He does that really, really well.
You know, it's just natural, man.
I know people like that. Hey, guys, everybody having a good week?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I still have a job.
Very good, very good. Hey, I just want to remind everyone really quick, if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can use the Q&A app to ask us questions, or you can use Twitter, use the hash #TechandCoffee, and we will read your questions, comments, and snide remarks live from this show. So with that said, guys, let's get on with the days, or the weeks, I should say, tech news. First up here, guys, there's several of the Android sites have been reporting that some Nexus 6 owners are reporting defective units where the back cover is coming unglued. Some of these people are even reporting that the batteries in these devices are starting to swell, which is causing the back to come unglued. Nexus, Google's kind of gone to a premium pricing on these things, and if we thought Bendgate was bad with iOS, which it was, as far as I'm concerned, imagine, dropping $600-700 for one of these devices and this happening.
Yeah, I think this is actually worse than Bendgate.
Yeah.
It's because it can, maybe catch on fire or something strange with the battery or something like that.
Yeah, I know. This is it's going down across Reddit. There are several people who are reporting that this is happening, and one Redditor's even claimed that he and 4 of his friends have had separation of their devices, but they're using like a case because they're afraid the replacement's going to have the same problems. Going to send it off and get the same thing. And, I just kind of wonder, not to any one person on the panel, but, when you charge a premium price for this stuff, people expect quality. And, I guarantee you, if this happened to a Nexus 4 or a Nexus 5 device, this old boy would be hitting the ceiling,
Yeah, I'd be needing counseling. I'd be suffering from separation anxiety.
Oh my God!
I knew that was coming. We were joking about the Flex phone, the LG phone, and Nexus had to beat them to the punch.
Oh gosh!
Except he had a bending cover. They had the flexing screen. They forgot the one part that was important.
The front side, darn it!
But I could see this happening because my Motorola Razr Max, it does get hot. The phone does get hot. I don't know if this is the GPS is causing it or whatever. So maybe there's some kind of heat related thing that's causing the battery to swell and then the case to come unglued. Combination heat and the pressure from the battery.
Yeah, but so now the question, what you're saying is okay, we know there's some causes. Do you not see this in R&D? Are we now rushing devices to market so fast that we're not thoroughly testing them, and we're putting potentially dangerous devices in people's pockets? You know, we remember the flight where the iPhone that caught on fire? Do you remember that about 2 or 3 years ago? And I mean, what happens if now all of a sudden, sorry, you can't bring your phone on the flight because it may, pose a risk? I know I'm going to extremes here. My original argument, though, is that are we rushing devices to market so quickly that we're not testing them thoroughly, that we end up with things like Bentgate and this?
Well,
Go ahead.
what about the software side of things? I mean, my goodness gracious, I wouldn't exactly say that Lollipop has been a successful deployment.
Same concept.
Yeah.
But I think there's a fine line between you have a product, you have it out, you have a prototype, you put it out and you have it and you test it and it all works, and guess what? You had the premium parts in there, and now when it gets mass produced, there could be a subset of batteries that were defective that got into these things, and it didn't show up in testing because it wasn't mass produced with the battery the same way. So you wouldn't really know some of this stuff until you get a bad batch of batteries and they get put into them. So I don't know how much you can test for stuff like this.
I have one other comment. Maybe we should be as much concerned. They talk about Gorilla Glass, but what about Gorilla Glue? Maybe they need Gorilla Glue to go with the Gorilla Glass so these things stay together. What do you think?
That's what it is. They're not using they're using Elmer's glue. That's the problem, Bruce. You've nailed it.
Thank you.
Hey, let's keep an eye on this. But if you look at the Nexus 9 didn't get very good reviews, and I personally think the Nexus 9 is a gorgeous device. Still might end up getting one before it's over with. But yeah, I mean, reviews have not been kind to the 9, and when I saw these back covers starting to separate, that made me real nervous. I'll tell you what, for this Nexus fanboy, that's hard to look at. Hey guys, moving on. The cool thing, you get Christmas and the holidays out of the year, and then you start in the new year, and everyone is gearing up in the mobile industry for Mobile World Congress that takes place every March in Spain. And because that takes place, you get all kinds of rumors coming out. And let's just start with this one right here, the OnePlus. This is their, they've had the OnePlus One. If anyone doesn't know, you can't just go to your local AT&T or Verizon store and pick one of these up. This is a Chinese manufacturer, and basically how they're dealing with the production of these things is you got to get an invite to even buy one. But $350 bought a whole lot of a OnePlus One. Here we go with the OnePlus 2 rumors. Again, I want to stress these are just rumors, but this is what this thing is reported to look like. It's going to have a 5.5-inch quad HD screen. That's 2560 by 1440. This is some serious resolution. I mean, to compare this, the OnePlus just had 1080p resolution, but let's get to some other specs, guys. I mean, this thing sounds serious if this is true. Snapdragon 810, 4 gigs of RAM, 3,300 milliamp hour battery. It'll be sporting Android 5.0 Lollipop versus right now it's running Cyanogen. And hey guys, I guess my question I'm going to pose to you, Robert. The OnePlus One was $350. Okay, how much is this one?
$500.
Okay, Jeff, higher or lower than Robert?
I would say lower than Robert.
Bruce, what do you think?
I would go $450.
Yeah, I would say $450.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is because of, they can't overprice it too much from the other previous model, even though it has higher specs.
Well, this thing, if you look at these specs, I mean, this is better than most phones currently on the market. Okay, a lot of flagship phones, current flagships, and I guarantee you these parts are high. I don't care how cheap their labor is they're putting together. These parts got to be high.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about the camera yet, right?
Nothing about the camera.
No.
Yeah,
I think what was the OnePlus One camera? Wasn't it 13 megapixel? I can't recall now.
But the thing I don't like about it, again, if they had the same marketing strategy, and I think that's just going to be again horrible. I mean, they got blasted for their previous one. I think didn't they have a women with videos or something? Wasn't this?
Yeah, they were encouraging women to put OnePlus on their body and do a selfie.
Yeah. So they get an invite. I mean, come on, So. How can they even make a dent? They have to really change their marketing strategy to make a dent and make it worthwhile.
They've already announced that they're still going to do an invite for the OnePlus 2, and basically the reason why is they're a startup, and they're not ramped up to compete to do like a Samsung and turn out 18 million phones in a quarter.
Yeah, but even if you can't to get an invite, who knows? I would rather have some kind of if they can't do maybe have a lotto system where people join and there's some kind of thing or something other than an invite, because it kind of cheapens it, and then people start selling it, and then there's selling the invite, and then there's scams on invites, and it's just not a good way.
And then I'm going to add to that. If you can't produce enough to even reasonably cover your demand, if I have a problem with the phone, what am I going to do about getting a replacement? So, let's face it, like you said, I can't walk into Verizon or AT&T store and pick one up. I'm not going to be able to just get a replacement at the drop of a hat. So it gives me pause to think that even if the price is lower, like Jeff says, $450, but Bruce, same thing. If you can't satisfy demand without having to use an invite system, then that tells me you're not going to have the supply to warranty my product if something goes wrong.
Well, they seem to have done a pretty decent job of that on the OnePlus One. Okay, it's not. In other words, they've allotted, because people have been able to get replacements for the OnePlus One. Now, listen, I hear you. Okay. It's still probably going to be a hassle because you're going to have to deal totally with mail order. But I've read several articles where people have had to have them replaced, and they've been very prompt at replacing them.
But wouldn't you think even Kickstarter campaigns are more effective than invite? At least when you buy into a Kickstarter campaign, you pay full price, you're guaranteed the phone, and then they have the money in their pocket to go and buy more materials, lower the cost, nail down the production side of it. So there's lots of other ways for them to handle it besides the invite. You know what I mean?
Okay. Listen, I'm not saying it's ideal. I can say that the first invite system worked pretty good for them. They sold over 1 million phones, and that's awesome for a startup, basically a company that didn't have much to start with. Okay.
Yeah, they created the buzz. They created that I gotta have one thing. Yeah. Right.
Well, like I say, it worked for them. It might not be ideal, but it worked pretty good for the company.
Yeah, and their cheap price in the beginning was kind of like a teaser rate. Now that they're going around with OnePlus 2, we know the price has got to go up because of the parts and the hardware. But the parts, the phone would have to go up anyway, because they're not going to be able to continue that teaser rate that they did out of the box to get the eyes on and the notice that they got.
Okay. One more question on this, and then we're going to move away, guys. Will we continue to see the OnePlus One, do you think? In other words, will it be a low-priced point phone while the OnePlus 2 is going to be more premium with a more premium price?
I would say not. If they don't have the resources to handle 2 production lines, I mean, they it would be hard for them to do that. I would say no.
Fair enough.
Could they
Hey
be
guys,
bought?
I've got a question that's come in here. Robert, I'm going to throw this one to you first. What are your thoughts on no more security patches for KitKat 4.3? Hisense 07 for one example. I know a lot of folks I have met who have fairly new tablets with 4.3. I like Droid, but Apple still supports the first gen iPads.
Uh, this
You're
is one of
fired.
those things. It, it is one of those things that just kind of sucks. It would be different if we were talking about Honeycomb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we get it. The software package has moved past that. And you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Lollipop has not gone well. As a matter of fact, a lot of people still kind of hanging on, waiting for it to get there. And some of them, once they got it, it destroys the operation of their device to a point that they wish they didn't have it. Google needs to stretch that out a little bit and not be cutting off support for these little bit older operating systems. Nobody's asking them to go back and support, Honeycomb and all of that. But 4.3, even 4.2, is not that far of a stretch back. We're talking a year, not even a year. And if you're going to require hardware manufacturers to supply updates for phones for 18 months, then you should at least follow the same guidelines that you give everybody else. Support your operating system for the same 18 months.
You make a good point. Basically Google's reply was, we're not going to support anything over 18 months, and it's kind of up to the phone manufacturers. Well, phone manufacturers aren't selling tablets.
Right.
And basically a lot of these tablets, these manufacturers came along, they got Google's OS, and I mean, it's kind of like finding a hole in a Windows system, Google, and saying, hey, listen, I found this, you got 30 days to fix it. If you don't, I'm going public with it. Well, hey, listen, I mean, if Windows is supposed to plug their security issues, shouldn't Google plug theirs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do no evil, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I understand resources and all, but when it's on that many, and yeah, that's my feelings on it, Doug. I'm not sure I agree with that. Hey, don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't. I do totally get where Google's coming from, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to like it.
Yep.
All right, man. Hey, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of Galaxy S6 rumors here, guys. We're going to see the Galaxy S6. The last couple of years, it's been like the day before Mobile World Congress starts. Samsung normally does a thing. We've picked on them pretty hard here, guys. In the past at some of their keynotes and how over the top. And I'll tell you what, this is the truth. I still I think about that Broadway thing from time to time and just kind of shudder, But hey, listen, the S6 is probably going to be a whole new phone, period. It's not going to be just a new iteration of an old design. But one thing that's starting to leak out here, and Bruce, I really thought about you when I read this yesterday, is this thing is not going to have a removable battery on it. It's going to have some sort of a glass-coated back cover, and it's going to be a permanent cover, meaning that you can no longer just take an old battery out and slam a new battery in. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I like the user replaceable battery. The only way that them not having a user replaceable battery that will succeed is if they're turning out a really high quality phone. They did this Galaxy Alpha with the nice machined aircraft aluminum frame and to compete with the iPhone 6. It's a really nice phone, and so I think if it's a first class phone as far as features and build, Samsung's always been dinged for having a plastic back. I mean, people always talk about the plastic back. They forget about the fact that the benefit of that is being able to have a user replaceable battery. But it'll have to be a really high quality, high end phone for I think it to succeed. Now they don't have to do much better to get past the S5 as far as I'm concerned. So it'll be interesting. This picture that we have here, it's hard to tell, if that's a rumored picture or whatever. But we'll see. What do you guys think?
I personally think it's a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of their differentiating things that they always tout in all their commercials, even though I don't have any Galaxy devices. So, I personally think they tout that feature a lot, and it is a feature for a lot of people that are world warriors and always using their phone and things like that. So I'm not one of them. So a 3500 milliamp battery would probably be more than sufficient for a device like this. But if you're a heavy power user, perhaps not, and you like this the ability to switch out your battery, that would be it's a feature that they always differentiated themselves with it.
Right.
Well, I think they've differentiated themselves with it because they were required to. Samsung's not been known for stellar battery life. So the ability to pop out a battery and pop another one in makes up for that deficiency. So if the S6 is going to come out and is not going to have a replaceable battery, the one thing that I can say, whether it's a stellar phone in terms of specs or not, they better be doing something about their battery life. Because, up to, this point, they're not, top of the mark when it comes to battery life. And Jeff, you know that, and I know that from our Razr Max days. There are manufacturers out there that had battery life that far exceeded the Samsung, and they were not replaceable. As a matter of fact, I have a Razr that I still use. It's going on 4 years old. The battery's never been replaced. Still holds a charge, still takes a charge. Not quite as long as it used to, but it still outlasts most of other phones.
I think if you were to poll smartphone users and tell them what's the most important feature, I guarantee you that battery life would be right up there at the top. Okay, it might not be number one, but it would be close to number one. Yeah. And one trend that I'm seeing in the last few months, with Motorola, Nexus, now Samsung, is this Quad HD. I'm sorry, guys, but why do you need 551 pixels per inch on a 5.5-inch screen? Okay, you don't need that kind of pixel density, and to do all these high resolution screens. Don't get me wrong, it makes sense in certain products, but on a phone, is it necessary?
Yeah. I'm not using my phone as a gaming device. And I'm not attempting to get, do I watch a video? Yes. Am I going to watch a movie on my phone? Probably not.
But even if you do, is a regular high definition versus a quad, is it going to make that much of a difference to you while you're watching that movie?
Yeah.
Let's face it, it doesn't.
No.
Anyway, my point being there that Quad HD screens are going to suck, milliamps, okay? And I'm just not sure that I see the necessity there. But it's the trend. I mean, if you buy a flagship anymore, chances are it's going to be a Quad HD display,
Samsung's earnings were not down, but disappointed, right? And they were actually, I think, talking about offering a stock split to appease their investors because, they're not as high flying as they were like 3 years ago. Samsung could do no wrong 3 years ago, and now, it's not doing as well. I wonder if they're not making the smartest decisions anymore.
Well, it's just like we've said. We've talked about this in the past, and why. Well, part of the reason why is they're constantly making a new phone, a new model. I mean, last year, every month it seemed like they were introducing a new tablet. Okay, I mean they're throwing all of this stuff out here. It confuses the consumer. They got all these different price points. They're trying to be everything to everybody. Their mobile division really suffered last year, and it's no surprise.
And now I think they're going to put Tyson out on all their TVs as their operating system.
Yeah, well, I can't blame them for trying that, but we'll just have to wait and see if it can compete with a lot of these other things that are coming, specifically Android. Hey guys, moving on. Bloomberg has outed what the new HTC is going to have. Basically, it's called the M9. I think we knew that. But this thing's going to feature a 20-megapixel rear camera, and it's also going to have a smartwatch to go along with it, kind of as an accessory. Here's the problem, guys, that I've got with HTC is, first of all, I think they build the best hardware in the business. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. But, most of the HTC devices that I have owned have not had good quality cameras. And I don't care if they put a 40-megapixel camera on it. I think the key is the sensor. So, I'm kind of curious to see here. But, Bruce, let's just go ahead and start with you, man. What do you think? Does this sound like a winner for HTC? Because they've struggled, even though I think they are turning a profit now. They've been in trouble now for a couple of years.
Well, to piggyback off of comments you made about the need for an Ultra HD screen on a phone, this phone is also going to come with Dolby 5.1. Do I need Dolby 5.1 on my phone? I mean, seriously. I mean, and what is a flagship phone? What I'm looking for is a phone that's it's got a decent screen, at least a 1080p screen, great battery life, better than average camera, and is peppy and is running, the latest Android operating system. Even looking at this picture, this doesn't really float my boat as far as a flagship-looking phone. If indeed this photograph in the article is anything like what the M9 is going to look like. So, do I need a 20-megapixel camera with an ultra-pixel sensor and Dolby 5.1 on my phone? No, I don't think so. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, I guess, if you're an audiophile and you listen to a lot of music from your phone, you might appreciate Dolby's, noise suppression.
I'd invest in a set of Bose noise-canceling headsets before I would get a phone with Dolby 8.1. That's where you're going to get better audio quality. Is, can you imagine having this phone Dolby 5.1? You're using a pair of $11 skull candies. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No. They use the Sense as the operating system.
That's
right?
True. Yes.
It does make sense.
Yes.
So it sounds like nobody on this panel is going to be buying one of these.
I do like I'm on the fence for any phone right now anyway. So again, for me it's about the camera, and if you're right, Duke, and the picture, the capability of the camera is, great, and it does some neat things like slow motion or 4K video or something like that. Yeah, maybe I'll look at it. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, and I got a short figure. Very soon.
It does sound like it's nice. It's going to have that Snapdragon 810 chip, the same one as the OnePlus 2 is rumored to sport. So, all right, man. Hey, guys, I want to talk about a couple of things here. I really want to get your input. I came across some news this week about two things. One is the Project Ara, and the other is Google Glass. And I really wanted to get your guys' take on a couple of things. Let's start with the Project Ara. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, this is Google's version of a modular smartphone. Basically, what you're buying is an exoskeleton okay? And you're going to be able to, replace the display if you break it, or upgrade the display. Who knows? You might want a quad HD display, and you don't have one, so you'll be able to replace that. Different cameras, different processors, batteries, so forth, etc. And basically, for this to work, it's going to require that you get a lot of third-party folks involved. Much like software, you're going to have people out there making things for this, making batteries, making cameras, making processors that will fit. And this thing, it's designed, basically you slide it in. It's got magnets that hold it in place. First of all, I think it's a good idea, but I guess, Robert, I'll start with you. Is this a great alternative to the current smartphone as we know it?
Well, talk about Android being fragmented. I don't know. I mean, because like you mentioned, the thing is are you going to get all of these players to come together to really develop these modules so that they all work together? And if the camera doesn't take the picture and it doesn't store it correctly, is it the storage module? Is it the camera module? I have my doubts about it. On paper, it looks good, but anytime you try and get everybody to play together in the sandbox, somebody's going to get pissy and, going to get upset, and they're going to do something a little bit different, and it's not going to quite work with that one, and it's not going to quite, fit in here. And so I get a little bit nervous when I talk about multiple manufacturers or multiple vendors providing me with the stuff for a single device. I'm just, in theory, it sounds nice, but in practice, I just can't see pulling it off.
Yeah, you take Android and you overlay TouchWiz or Sense, and you're trying to make it your own, and trying to make it more proprietary to your company. And absolutely, I can see this happen with hardware. Jeff, what do you think, man? Do you see yourself like buying this thing with the idea that you're gonna carry this phone basically for years, and as things upgrade or you need to upgrade further?
Yeah, I like the concept. I love the concept, actually. It's kind of like your PC. You upgrade the memory in your PC. You upgrade the, if you want to get, USB 3.0 and you have, you need that in your system and you wanted those ports, you can get the card, you upgrade it. There's things you do with your PC that you can do, right? And I look at this kind of the same way, and you'll find regrettably, a lot of the manufacturers are going to be all Chinese, right? You'll go to Fast Tech, you'll be able to find all these modules, and, you'll be buying the, kind of Molly get the mop kind of thing. You don't know if it's going to, work or not work, to what Robert is saying. But I love the concept of it. I do love the concept of it.
You mentioned the PC market, and you got the IBM 286, and maybe you can upgrade the 5 1/4 floppy disk drive, or you can do. But then all of a sudden, what does IBM do? Hey guys, listen, we built something that's twice as fast, and it's a 386, and we had to change the architecture, so all of that 286, it's antiquated now because now you got to buy all new stuff. And if you look at the PC industry and how that was supposed to be modular, even though it has worked some, it hadn't worked out really good.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it worked out well. I mean, everyone in here has upgraded pretty much their device, even their Chromebooks.
Wait. What I'm saying is I've been through a whole lot of computers that were supposed to be modular, okay? Yeah. In other words, I still, about 3-4 years, what was I doing? I wasn't upgrading my computer, I was replacing it.
Yeah, but you think about this. Look how many phones you've had in the same period of time that you've had your PC, right? It's probably 3 to 1, maybe 4 to 1. You've had more phones than you've had PCs in terms of quantity. So if you could upgrade your phone and get that, a better camera or more storage or a faster processor, and keep the guts the same, the battery the same, you're happy with the battery life, would you give that a shot? I think you might. I don't know. I see the benefits of it, but it's a tough row, but I see the benefits.
Bruce, we've left you out to this point.
Well, I like the idea of a unified design. A lot of people are concerned about the aesthetics of their phone, how it looks. And we don't have any idea. I mean, I can look at all these pictures, and there are a lot of pictures on this Verge website, and folks can go and look at it. One of them shows it looks like it's got somebody's picture embossed upon the back of one of the things. But I like a unified design, a phone that's designed from the beginning that can be nice and thin and svelte. Sometimes when I look at this, there are actually two things. I'm not really just trying to be funny, but the first thought that came to my mind was chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are really not chicken. It's just a whole bunch of parts, And I think about moving parts and the contacts, the electrical contacts on this. And then I think about a Rubik's Cube, twisting, putting it together, getting just the right thing, and then find out something's changed. I don't think aesthetically this phone is going to be pleasing, and that's a big selling point for the average Joe and Jill out there.
All right. I think basically what I'm hearing, and I agree, great concept, but I think at this point, guys, it's probably a lot like Android Wear. Great concept, but we need to see it implemented to see how useful it's going to be. Hey guys, let's move on here really quick. To be honest with you, we've talked more about these articles than I thought we would. Let's talk about Google Glass some. Jeff?
Jeff don't get to talk about Google Glass.
Hey, they're pulling it back to make it better.
Yeah, I did tell you that I thought that we would finally see a consumer-level product of Google Glass this year, and I was really surprised last Thursday when Google made this announcement that basically they were pulling the Explorer Edition totally, and we're going to see something a little bit later on. Now, I think we all agree that while a lot of people haven't really been excited about Google Glass. In fact, they've been just exactly the opposite. We do see some uses for this, either from doctors or, from firemen, emergency responders, so forth, etc. Jeff, what did you think when you heard this announcement?
I thought that I would be shocked if anyone actually bought Google Glass yesterday. Last day, 19th. Who actually bought Google Glass for $1,500? I don't think it's dead. I think it's quite the opposite. I think they're pulling it in, and they're going to make a more elegant solution and make it, affordable in the $700 to $800 range or $700 range to turn it into a product. I don't think they had the I don't want to say vision, or it's a bad thing to say with Google Glass, but they didn't know how to take it to the next level. It just sat out there and languished, and then they try to fix bugs and they try to squash things out, and they never got the traction because they never had the commitment to drive down the cost and make it a consumer product. I think they're going to, how they're doing it now, putting it under the, the Nest kind of environment, that is a consumer environment, and they're probably tasked with making it work. They know that there's a niche for this thing. I think there really is, and they just need to drive the cost down, make it a little more elegant, I think, and also integrate it into more kind of I don't know if everyone follows Tim Moore, Rochester Optical. They have glasses and things like that they've been kind of integrating their products into the wearables, and they need to do more of that, make it more a consumer product, and they have not. So I'm looking forward to the next iteration. Hopefully it'll be within, 12
Hey,
months.
Bruce, why has Google Glass failed to this point?
A lot of bad PR, and while a watch doesn't look necessarily out of place on your wrist, this thing really draws a lot of unwanted and unneeded attention. There are privacy issues with it. It got a lot of bad press in the beginning. One of the things that the article says that it's a great example of a good product looking for a problem. I do believe that there's a niche place for this. I do think about law enforcement. People. I think about the linemen. On a telephone poles. Looking at situations and communicating with people. I think about paramedics, EMTs, being able to broadcast. What they're seeing. They're looking at the wound. You've got a doctor, a trauma surgeon on the other end. I think there's definitely, it's not gone, it's not finished, but it's more of a niche product, at least right now.
Robert, you got anything you want to add to this?
Google Glass is dead.
It is not dead.
Excuse me, I'm going to read from the article itself. It is unclear if future versions of Glass will be offered to consumers. As far as I'm concerned, it's dead as a consumer product. It's been tried, it's been tested, it failed miserably. They're pulling back. And certainly in a niche placement like a surgeon, a paramedic, a law enforcement officer, these types of things, there could be an application for Google Glass. We have them now. We have body cams now for police officers here. If they step out of their vehicle, their body cam comes on. If they unholster their weapon, their body cam comes on. And that's great. Those things are what Google Glass could and should be. But Google Glass as a consumer product is dead, dead, dead. Won't happen. Forget it, Jeff. Let it go. It will make its way back as a profession-based product.
It is going to be. We have different views on this, and I think because they put it under Nest, okay, under that kind of tells you that it's going to be a consumer product.
Take off the rose-colored glasses.
They put it under Nest because, like a thermostat, they can't decide if it's hot or cold.
I think I'm beginning to think that Glass could be the Apple Newton. I think it might be before its time, and who knows, 10, 12 years from now, what the market will look like and what Glass could look like. Mm-hmm. But I think short term, I do agree with Robert. I don't think this. I think we're going to see some applications for it, but you and I won't be wearing it unless we become law enforcement or doctors.
You guys are dead to me. Dead.
Yeah, this has always been my feeling on Glass. Just real quick, and to an extent, smartwatches. Okay, I look at it as a remote control for my TV. Okay, my TV does all of this stuff, and while it doesn't need a remote control to work, a remote control makes it real handy. Am I willing to pay $1,500 for that remote control? Heck no. But really, Glass doesn't. My smartphone does everything that Glass does. Okay, and even Android Wear. Normally, my phone's within arm's reach anyway. Android Wear might make my phone a little bit more convenient in certain situations, but still, yet I view it as that remote control. Yeah, I would buy Glass if it wasn't so daggone expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's $1,500. Yeah, that's the way. It's double what it should be.
And if there was a practical application for the average consumer. Right now, it's a novelty at best.
No, I disagree. I could see, if it was, again, we're not going to come to agreement on this, so I'm just going to let it go.
Of course you disagree.
Of course I'm going to disagree.
All I want you to do is
I'm an Android fanboy.
Show me your pair of Google glasses.
Oh.
Just moving right along.
Yours. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. And I could have bought one, I didn't. Right? So there you go.
You'd be a lot better off with a GoPro, hooking it up to your computer when you're done taking all those movies, man.
Darn straight.
And you can record in 4K. I appreciate it on a quad
I
HD.
just gotta drill a hole in my forehead and just stick it right there. Put an X mount on my forehead, and boom.
There you go. Hey, gang, listen, man. Who is Tech and Coffee? We are a Google Plus community. We were a community before Google even offered communities. And we would love to have you come and hang out with us. How do you do that? Head over to techandcoffee.info, look for that T&C coffee cup, click on it. Hey, we love to talk tech. Bring your favorite beverage, and let's hang out, man. We've got a Twitter and a Facebook. You can find us there at Tech and Coffee 1. Our YouTube page is Tech and Coffee. Hey, search for us on Google+. Again, search for Tech and Coffee. Look for that T&C logo. Also, catch our podcast on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. Hey, tweet us, man, using the hash Tech and Coffee. As always, questions, comments, and snide remarks, send them to AJ at techandcoffee.info. Guys, before we move into our app segment, I would like to spend just a little bit of time talking about some of the feedback we've gotten. Let's start with a lot of the Twitter feedback that we've gotten. Lady T. Wales, man, I don't know what we've done to deserve your love, but thank you so much for all the retweets, and both on Google Plus and Twitter, by the way. Thank you so very much. Jeff, I got some negative feedback, and let me find the article here.
While he's looking, I'll do my best Donald Trump impression. Jeff, you're fired.
Well, I am an at-will employee, so I can take it.
Don't be going and filing for unemployment.
I tell you, I want a third of everything you guys have.
Okay, let's see here. Let me.
Well, why don't you just kind of do a synopsis of it?
Okay, well, after last episode, I got a response back from a gentleman, Chris Conte, and by the way, Chris, thank you very much, honestly. Believe me, I've blocked Jeff more times, so I can understand your anger with him, but he says, hey, Duke, you have to take that guy off your show. Your show's called Android Journal, and I watch your show because I love Android, and I don't want to hear about Apple. Last show, he wanted to try an iPhone 6. This show, he talked about how Apple was the biggest player, which isn't even true. And they were not at CES. Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm in the belief of we talk about everything. Anything that has to do with the environment that we're in, and I would be remiss not to talk about a Apple phone. If someone asked me what phone am I looking at, and I wanted to see the new iPhone, I would look at it because I am not going to be myopic in my thinking about it. The other thing is, I don't own any Apple products. My wife does, but I don't, and I played with them now and then. If Apple is a dominant player, I don't care what anyone thinks, and it's good for the entire industry, just as Android is good for the industry, as innovation takes place. So when the iWatch comes out, and it will come out, and it will be a killer product, and a lot of people are going to buy it, and it's going to move up that category, and it will set up, and then other manufacturers will have to build to that. So it's a good thing, and it's a good thing to have different viewpoints out there on iOS or Chrome OS, whatever. We have Chromebooks. We talk about Chrome. So if there's a product that does the thing that I needed to do, guess what? I'm going to probably look at it, you know. And I tell you what, if I am a serious musician, a lot of musicians have, you know, iPads because there's more software out there for musicians to play with iPad for, you know, Boss Jacks and, you know, things like that allow you to do it. So they probably have to pick the best tool for what they're having. So that's my thoughts on it. So, hey, Android Journal.
You make some good points, and listen, I replied to this guy. I'm not going to read him my reply. You guys, if you want to go back on Google Plus, you can look. It's episode 85. You can find it, but you know, basically, I did reply to him. I let him know that I'm a cell phone iOS products. It's kind of how I've determined that I like Android so well.
Yep.
But you bring up very good points. You know, iOS to this point, you don't experience the audio lag that you do on Android when you try to do a lot of multi-track stuff. You know, Apple has been more efficient in that area. You know, I've said it before, daggone it, the iPhone 4 still takes better pictures than a lot of Android phones on the market today, some brand new phones.
And some of the cool apps like iRig just recently came out for Android, you know, and it was a mainstay on the iOS, and you know, as those developers start moving over to Android, it will be better. But a lot of people still are on the iOS operating system in certain.
And just let me say, you know, I've argued. First of all, if you use Google services, you're a whole lot better off with Android than any iOS device. But where Android shines is they still, man, the maps, the Google Maps with Android is still.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, it rules iOS's offerings. The customization on Android is just limitless, and that's part of the reason why I love Android. Okay.
Yeah, and so do I.
We all do.
Yeah, no. I love the idea that you know, Google Plus, and you know, I look up on something on my PC, and then I see it on Google Now on my phone, and I can just click on it right then and there and go navigate or whatever. So yeah, I use all the Google products, and I still stay in the Android operating system.
And really quick, after I responded to Chris, he wrote this back. Duke, appreciate you getting back to me. I love talking Android and technology in general. Well, I do agree that Apple has a large share of the market. Your name is called Android Journal. I specifically listen to your podcast so I can get away from the Apple hype and the secondary marketing that Apple gets. The crazy thing is he didn't even mention it in reference to an Android device or by a comparison. It was a comment that had no bearing on what you were talking about. By mentioning Apple at an event, they weren't a part, just give in to the hype. As a developer, I try to develop for both platforms. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. While I do agree that Android is a much better platform for phones, their biggest weakness is tablets. There doesn't seem to be a real iPad killer out there. If you are going to reference Apple, why don't you talk about some of the negative points too? And Chris, in all fairness, if you listen to, 86 episodes of Android Journal now, believe me, we have bashed Apple many, many times. Maybe not lately, but I promise you we are not exactly what you would call fans of iOS. We do have respect for them, though. Hey, there was a recent article talking about Apple making iPhone that bends because it gets rid of the secondary repair market. It's one thing to replace a screen, it's another to replace the whole frame. Another big weakness is the lack of product knowledge that Android users have. The average iOS user knows about iMessage, iTunes, iCloud. They don't know the alternatives or advantages. Hangouts, Google Drive. Anyway, I had asked him in the previous note if he would care if I read this on air, and he's just telling me here he's given me permission. So, listen, I think Chris makes a very good point. I think to a lot of users, and this goes to the PC industry too, how aware do you think people are, Robert, of services such as Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets? They know Gmail, but do they really know any other Google service like Google Voice, for example?
Google Voice, Google Keep, Google Drive. You mentioned some of the biggies. This is really it's a problem, because while I can convince people to switch over to Gmail, and they adapt very easily, trying to get them to understand that they can write a letter in Google Drive and it's free, it doesn't cost them anything, it's a much tougher sell, and I can't explain it. Now, after they've tried it a time or two, it's a whole different story. Then they're like, what more can I do? My wife is raising her hand across the room. But once they try and they get a taste, then they move forward. But you got to get them past, they naturally will do Gmail, but you got to get them past that first hurdle. And it's a very small percentage of folks who have dabbled into these additional services.
Bruce, is it a marketing thing? Why are people kind of oblivious to a lot of these fantastic Google services?
All I would say is try it, you'll like it. Everybody, without exception, I know, who has tried Google apps and services have found them incredibly easy, intuitive to use. So it's just a matter of trying. I was at the coffee shop today, and sitting at my table, one guy had a Mac, one guy had a Lenovo PC running Windows 10, I might add, and I'm sitting there with my Chromebook. I love having discussions about it. I love being a Chrome OS evangelist, if you'd speak, or an Android evangelist as well. So it's just getting people to try it, getting them to see it. People are used to Office, or they're used to a particular operating system. But man, I tell you, I love my Chromebook.
Yeah, I do too. All right, hey,
let me add something really quick because I have a thing to say. I think part of the problem is getting people to try something new, and it's really hard because they feel like they don't have the time to do it. And I'm in this leadership group. I wanted to get everyone on Google Docs and have a collaborative way that we could work on, because of the collaborative efforts that you can do. Like right now, we have the Android Journal spreadsheet open, and I can see everybody who's on the spreadsheet and looking at it and make changes to it in real time. Trying to explain that and get people that aren't aware of that to use it it's kind of, they don't want to know something. They don't want to know something new. And Google has great products. If I started up my own company, I would be totally Google product centric.
Very good. Okay, hey, listen, real quick, just a couple other things that we've got. I'm actually going back to episode 84, some feedback that we got that I haven't talked about. One is Raymond Anglada. First of all, he said that Android Journal was one of his top 3 favorite podcasts. However, he felt that I rushed the articles many times. And Raymond, I do. And I try my best to keep this show right under an hour. I am not going to make under an hour tonight because we've still done apps, and that's some other feedback that I've gotten from an individual is he said he really wished we would start including Play Store links to our apps that we talked about. While I have started putting those in the posts, now we're right at an hour, and we haven't even got to them yet. So without further ado, let's talk about our apps. And Bruce, I'll ask you to kick it off, my friend.
All right, I'm glad to. You know that I fly every month, and so my app of the week is Flight Aware Flight Tracker. So let me go ahead and do a different screen share with you and let you see how this thing works. There are a lot of flight apps out there, but I'll tell you what, this one is just incredible what it will do. So let me just kind of show you some of it. So I can go here and I can look at nearby flights, and it will show me all the nearby flights. It's determining my location right now. It's found my location. Now watch these flights and planes. Now these flight paths and these planes are all different kinds of planes, and you can see there's a bunch of them up there. But if I tap on one, you can see that this is a private plane, tail number N444VB. Its altitude is at 5,500 feet. Its flight speed is 144 knots. I can look at this one up here. This is another private plane. Tap this one down here. This is a Cessna Skyhawk. I mean, that is just incredible how this does. Then you've got airport delays. And by the way, this is a free app. There are some ads that pop up, but they hardly pop up at all. They pop up on the bottom. But I can tap on. I can see if there are any airport delays. And you can see right now it's just green across the U.S. So there are no significant airport delays. I like this. This is called the misery map. Man, if you've ever flown a lot, you know you can experience some misery. And so here you can see some of the major airports, the major hubs, and of course Atlanta, Charlotte, two major hubs in the southeast where I live. And you can see this green circle, and you can see a section of red. So that basically tells you, how much the red would be the misery factor. I can go to My Flight Aware, and I've got a particular flight. Now this is a flight number that I fly frequently. This happens to be the flight between Charlotte and Melbourne, Florida. It's the second leg of my flight to the home office. And you can see all these flights. Now this one, the top one here, 5203, it departs Charlotte tonight at 10:30 p.m. That's actually the flight that I fly on Sunday nights a lot. It arrives in Melbourne at 11:48. I can tap on that flight, and I can see all kinds of information. In fact, if I tap on a flight that's already in the air, this little track across will show me the progress of that plane. I can see the filed speed. This one doesn't have a filed attitude right now, but it's just really interesting. But one of the things I really like a lot is I can go to routes. I can go to airports, and I've got the Melbourne Airport here. It's one of the airports that I fly into, and I go to that airport, and I can look at arrivals, and I can see, and it shows all the arrivals, not just normal airlines like US Air and Delta. They're the only two that fly in there, but I can see a Cessna Skyhawk, and I can tap on these and get other information. But you can tap on this map down here at the bottom, and you can see, now this has MCO, which is Orlando Airport, and then you can see the Melbourne Airport, and you can see live real-time all the traffic that's going on. And again, you can type on, there's a British Airways, Boeing 777, altitude 27,100 feet, flying at 527 knots. Obviously, that airport, or that flight is coming from Tampa. And look at, well, let me just cancel that, and look at where it's going. It's going to London, England. I just find this amazing. And you can see just a lot of different information. So if you fly, or if you've got family that's flying and you want to type in their information, you want to see exactly where they are on the map, I mean, it's just an amazing app, and it's free. Flight Aware. Check it out. It's really worth having. My app of the week.
Very, very interesting app, Bruce. And that is free, right?
It is free.
And you can find it in the App Store. All right. Absolutely. Hey, Rob, what do you got, man?
Well, actually, I know we're running a little long tonight, but my apps are really kind of quick. I'm going to do two tonight. I had the pleasure or displeasure, depending on how well you like confrontation, of having to buy a new car this last week. And lo and behold, there are plenty of apps in the Google Play Store that will help you do this, but I found two that really stood out. And the reason why it's two rather than just one is because I found one app did a very good job of handling one aspect of buying a car, i.e. the price, and another app did a very good job of describing the vehicle, the options, and the costs for each of those options. So, when you're buying a car, you got to look at everything. What am I going to pay for it, but also what am I getting? So, my apps, let me share my screen real quick. The first one is called TrueCar. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to this website. They do have a website, TrueCar.com. And basically what it allows you to do is research the vehicle with its basic trim models, and then it will give you the average price that people are paying for that vehicle. It's very good. I loaded up 2 of them here, and looking at the Dodge Ram 1500, you see how it has this little graph here in the middle? It shows you what the average price people are paying, and it gives you an estimated TrueCar price, and that's kind of like the cumulative, and you can do it both national and local to your zip code. So it's not like, hey, what are people in San Francisco paying for a car? That doesn't matter to me living in Louisiana. So you can do it both ways. But this does a really good job of telling you approximately what you should expect to pay for a car in your area. It's a little light on the details, but it's very good. They do have the website, TrueCar.com, does the same thing, but I found the app very handy while I was actually at the dealership, and I was comparing the different trim levels of the car and the cost that's associated with the 2 different ones. Now, that's the price side of things. That's great, and again, that app is TrueCar. You'll find it in the Google Play Store. The other app that I have for you, and this is a name that I know a lot of people have heard of, it's Kelley Blue Book. Now, Kelley Blue Book does give you some price information, but what they're much better at is allowing you to look at the different trim models for each car. So let's pull up that same Dodge Ram, and here you see all the different models that they offer for the Dodge Ram truck. I have a 1500 quad cab, so I'll pull that one up. And I'd like to look at the 2015. Now you see all the different packages as far as engine size, trim level, everything else. We're going to go ahead and pick the four-door SLT. And it goes and pulls up the information, shows me a picture of what the vehicle looks like. Then it starts giving me fair purchase price, MSRP, and the dealer invoice price. I would advise people to be very careful about the dealer invoice price. I don't find the Kelley Blue Book to be very accurate when it comes to that. TrueCar is much better. But if I look further, it gives me all the incentives that are available on this vehicle in the way of rebates, dealer holdback, any special fees that might be attached, all the details of the engine and the transmission. I mean, you can really research the vehicle. And of course, they have a whole host of photos that show the inside, the outside. This is something that TrueCar is lacking. So if you're in the market for a new car, if you're looking to purchase a new car, you need 2 tools. One is TrueCar to tell you how much you're going to spend, and the other one is the Kelley Blue Book app from the Google Play Store to tell you what kind of options are available for you. With those 2 things, I will say this. I don't know if I just got lucky or if I just had a salesman who knew I was well prepared when I walked in. I walked into him, I said, I know you have this vehicle, it costs this much, this is what I'm willing to pay for it, it's a fair price for you to make a profit, it's a fair price for me to pay. You're either going to do the deal or you're not. Don't waste my time. And within 15 minutes, that man came out, shook my hand, and said, Mr. Taylor, we have a deal. 1 hour later, my wife and I were on our way to dinner in our new car. Being prepared is what you want. Kelley Blue Book and TrueCar. Get them both in the Google Play Store.
Very good, Rob. Very
Fantastic.
good.
Great.
All right, man. Hey, my app is manual camera. What is manual camera? First of all, before I take you through it, just let me say that this thing is got 4 and a piece stars in the Play Store. It's been recommended on Google Plus 1,086 times. Okay, with that said, let me show you what manual camera can do for you. Okay, I'm launching the app here, and this is manual camera. Okay, now you're probably seeing like over here on the left, I have several choices. If you'll notice, over on the right hand column is a little wheel, so I'm going to select white balance. So white balance will take the wheel, And now I can change the white balance just by spinning the wheel, okay? And I can mess with that. Now, I've also got focus distance to where I can actually go in and tweak the focus from, say, a macro to all the way up to a portrait, to where I can mess with the focus. I can tweak the ISO, so if I'm in very dark conditions, I can mess the ISO again. All of the controls are controlled with the wheel, and you can see here how that's washing out the higher that I go on the ISO. All right. Now, I've also got shutter speed that I can tweak as well. All of this, again, being very manual. Finally, I can mess with the exposure and how much time that I want to let it expose. Also, this thing has a settings. I can feed the location. I can mess with brightness to where it's maximum or auto. I can do a variety of grids to help aid me in the shot. I can turn the sound on and off, okay? And this is the key right here. This is really what makes manual camera very cool. Right now, I'm in JPEG mode, but if you will notice when I touch that, now I can shoot in the RAW format, okay? A lot of people prefer that they like this ability. Of course, I got a little info thing down here that'll walk you through a tutorial if you want it. But this thing is amazing. I have just really started messing with it. But if you really like to be creative with your photography, again, this thing gives you control over all of your manual settings. It's amazing what all you can do with this manual camera. It is $2 in the Play Store, and if you're really looking for a way to take photography, I just took that shot. If you're really looking for a way to really mess and get creative with your photography, giving yourself so much more control than any of the manual settings that come with your typical camera, you do need to be running Lollipop to take advantage of all of these features, especially the RAW format. But that's my app this week, guys. Manual camera.
Can't wait to get a phone with a 20 megapixel lens, right, dude?
There you go. There you go. So, guys, we have gone a little bit over. I know Raymond and Glotta won't mind, but yeah. I really thank you guys. And listen, hey, Stitcher Radio listeners, thank you so much for your dedication. And again, all of the tweets were just, it's pleasing us to no end that you guys are listening to us and helping to promote us. Thank you so very much because, Jeff, we love doing Android Journal, don't we, brother?
I'm still employed.
Hey, gang, listen, y'all have a great week. We will catch you in 7. Peace out, everybody.